Hey, what's going on, everybody? Excuse me. Holy cow. Yeah, pretty much holy cow, right? I'm using my phone. I got the soundboard coming up here soon, so hopefully we can get some more entertainment in there. But until then, that's what we got to do. Anyway, thanks for joining. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. For so long, talks about the tariffs being like the worst thing in the world, causing price increases across the board for us, and that's not happening, right? It's not happening. We'll go into that here in a little bit. Marco Rubio, absolute, phenomenal work, bringing things to a head with respect to getting, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine resolved, getting it to a point where we're actually having negotiations on how to end this thing. It's unreal. So much more progress has happened in the last 3 weeks than it's happened in the last 4 or 5 years or what have you. But before we jump into that, I do want to recognize, and I've got it pinned in the chat stream here. I do want to recognize. Let me get this up here. I do want to recognize our sponsor for this stream, Noble Gold. Appreciate them very much. And it's related to things that we have been talking about, right? Those metrics where households, Gen Z households, 71% struggle to pay rent month to month. That's why that demographic violently went towards Trump, right? Hey, no reply, what's going on? 71% of Gen Z effectively went to Trump. The youth vote went to Trump. 50% of households, general, struggle to pay rent month to month. So you can see it's getting worse generationally, right? That's why that youth vote went so strongly to Trump. And a quarter of households around the country skip meals in order to pay rent. So when they look at the stock market and they say, look, prices are going up, everything's great, they're not telling you the whole story. Biden was hiding something there, right? And we can see that that's what's going on behind the scenes. So I appreciate our stream sponsor very much, Noble Gold. So, I mean, they look at this stuff, how the stock market sentiment can change in an instant, right? NVIDIA, the investors of NVIDIA, they lost $600 billion in market value, and that was wiped out overnight. There was no warning, and there were no second chances. It just happened. People got hit. So market crashes don't wait. They strike fast. They're devastating. And a lot of people were unprepared. But smart investors, they're one step ahead, and they're protected, and they are prepared. So for nearly a decade, the folks over at Noble Gold Investments have helped thousands of people protect their wealth with gold IRAs and with physical gold. They've had over $2 billion in precious metal sales. Noble Gold is a trusted industry choice for Americans serious about financial security. It's gold, it's real, it's yours, and it retains value. It's gone up quite a bit in value because of these things that we've been talking about, because of the circumstances that are existing right now in our economy, perpetually, potentially here. So with a qualified account being opened up, as you can see on the screen, you'll get 2 5-ounce Silver America the Beautiful coins for free. Just take a look at politicalcowgold.com. It's a direct link to the Noble Gold website and this offer. So, I mean, don't wait till you're down 30%, 10, 20, 30%. Protect your portfolio now. The next market crash will not give you a warning. Check out Noble Gold now. Again, politicalcowgold.com. I appreciate it, you guys. And I appreciate our stream sponsor. The link is in the chat for you guys to take a look at that. But again, Trump absolutely dominating here. Absolutely dominating. There are the tariffs are working. They don't want to admit it, but the tariffs are working. Let me get this awesome image out of the way. Come on, pick that one. Where you at? Boom. No, we don't need that one either. The tariffs are absolutely working. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at let's
I want to thank some of the great people from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. They're here to take photographs, and it's my honor to do so. Also, the fire department, the great firefighters.
Trump,
they're here throughout the room, and I want to thank you very much for being here. I'll be with you in a little while. We'll do some great photos. We have plenty of time. policemen, policewomen, and firemen, firewomen. They're here, and we appreciate it very much. You've done a fantastic job. I think it's very important to state that incredible things are happening in our country. I think we've made more progress in 3 weeks than they've made in 4 years, especially with respect to the reputation of our country. And people are respecting us again as a country and as a powerful country, and maybe a smart country, but maybe not so smart, because when you look at some of the waste, fraud, and abuse that's being uncovered.
Bear with me, just got to adjust the audio. It's coming in a little too quiet for me. I want to see if I can bump that up. Hopefully it'll fix it for you guys too. All right, here we go. Back at it.
By Doge, and the people at Doge, these are young, often young, but super brilliant people, incredible computer scientists and other things, and they're finding levels of fraud and waste and abuse like I think nobody ever thought possible. But before we do that, I just want to ask Will to come over. I've just finished signing some executive orders, and if we could start with that, Will, you might want to come up here and just explain what we did. Thank you.
Good afternoon, y'all. A short while ago, President Trump signed three items. The first is an executive order relating to the affordability and availability of in vitro fertilization and other fertility treatments. These are treatments that have become unaffordable for many Americans, or have been unaffordable for many Americans. And the executive order is a directive to the Domestic Policy Council to examine ways to make IVF and other fertility treatments more affordable for more Americans. The second item that we signed was a presidential memorandum imposing radical transparency requirements on government departments and agencies, in keeping with President Trump and the administration's broader commitment to governmental transparency. What this presidential memorandum would do is require, as waste, fraud, and abuse is uncovered, as programs are canceled, and ultimately as taxpayer dollars are saved, this presidential memorandum would require departments and agencies to make all of the details of that freely available to the public. Lastly, we have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
Thank you very much, Will. That was the primary purpose of this conference, to explain that they're all very important in their own way. Fertilization, I've been saying that we're going to do what we have.
So, I mean, that was quite a few things all bundled into one. I mean, this is basically Trump's approach to things right here. I mean, there's not much more to it. Let's make it happen now. He knows he has 4 years to really bring things together, set up the future politicians in the right way, whether that's Vance, Vivek, Ramaswamy. Marco Rubio is going to be a big shot after his tenure as Secretary of State. The next generation is being elevated and brought up. You can see that there's been a younger demographic that Trump has attempted to bring in many areas and holding key positions. Kristi Noem, like a lot of folks are, starting to be like high flyers in the Republican Party now. So it's, he's setting the stage not just for the next 4 years to get things in a good state, but to keep it that way perpetually, to have that pipeline of talent coming through.
To do, and I think the women and families, husbands, are very appreciative of it. But that was it. I do want to say while I'm up here, I've been contacted by some of the biggest companies in the world. And because of what we're doing economically and through tariffs and taxes and incentives, they want to come back into the United States. And we'll be announcing various very large companies, the biggest actually, and they'll be coming back, having to do with chips and having to do also with cars and lots of other things. We're going to be announcing some very, very big, momentous decisions are being made by companies all around the world, the biggest, and they want to come back into the U.S. Car plants are being canceled in other locations now because they want to build them here. And you read about a couple, not that I want to mention names or anything, but you read about a couple of big ones in Mexico just got canceled because they're going to be building them in the United States. And that's very simply because of what we're doing with respect to taxes, tariffs, and incentives. And I think it's a very important thing. And you'll be seeing this over the next probably over the next 2 years, to be honest, but you're going to see a lot of it over the next couple of weeks. A lot of big ones are going to be announcing. And so while we're here, I guess we can take a couple of quick questions. Go ahead, please. Please.
Mr. President, have you decided specifically what the auto tariff rate should be?
Yeah, I probably will tell you that on April 2nd, but it'll be in the neighborhood of 25%.
What about semiconductors and pharmaceuticals?
It'll be 25% and higher, and it'll go very substantially higher over a course of a year. But we want to give them time to come in because, as you know, when they come into the United States and they have their plant or factory here, there is no tariff. So we want to give them a little bit of a chance. Yes, thank you.
The EU, Andrea Shalal, the EU representative is going to be here in Washington next week. Tomorrow. He's going to be meeting with Hassett and Greer and Letnick. What can the EU do to sort of avoid the reciprocal tariffs that you've talked about? And, you know, you've talked a lot about the VAT. Do you expect them to reduce that?
Well, they did already, as I understand it, reduce their car tariff all the way down to what we have. And a lot of that will take place, and I think some won't do it and some will do it. But the EU had a 10% tax on cars, and now they have a 2.5% tax, which is the exact same as us. So already we've saved a tremendous amount. That would be great. If everybody would do that, then we'd all be on the same playing field. Because essentially what we're doing with the tariffs is, you know, they charge us, we charge them, same amount.
So it's I mean, this is a pretty big deal, what he's talking about here. Where is my little graphic that I had? Hang on, guys. Let me bring this up. Here's an example, right? All right, right here. Oops. Let me bring this up on the other screen as well. Give me one sec. What is that thing called? It's called 18. Image. Thanks for the follow, guys. Or I mean, the subscribe. Boom. Okay. So check this out, right? We have, on one hand, reports coming in 4 days ago that said, could Trump tariffs push Nissan production out of Mexico? And then what happens 11 hours ago? Nissan will move production outside of Mexico. Literally. All of this happening within weeks of tariffs going into effect, right? They paused to allow some negotiations to happen, and Mexico wants to come back into play here, come to the table, play ball or what have you. But look at that. It does not take long when a business looks at the looming threat of losing market share. Nissan has got some other troubles going on, right? So them going first makes sense. Others probably have a little bit more, say, cash flow to try to figure out if they can get more efficient, not have to pour a lot of dollars into building new plants in the United States, but they're going to fall in line pretty quickly as well. So for all the critics that are saying, oh, look, tariffs don't work, it's going to cause higher prices, look what just happened here. I mean, literally, companies are pulling out of Mexico already. Major companies, auto manufacturing jobs coming back to the United States here potentially. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take a couple of years to build these facilities out here. But the fact that they've put that they'll put investments towards the United States, so forth, it'll, I think they'll work something out with, those individual companies. So you see the bottom headline there, Nissan would move production outside of Mexico. From its plants in Mexico, Nissan exports approximately 320,000 cars per year to the U.S. market. 320,000 cars. That is astronomical. I mean, imagine that now being just created in the United States. Right? I mean, this is exactly as he foretold would happen. And here we go. It's part of winning.
And it's called reciprocal, actually. And whatever they charge us, we're charging them. And so the EU is, I appreciate that they did this, but, the EU has been very unfair to us. We have a deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They don't take almost anything. They take very little. and we're going to have to straighten that out, and we will. I have no doubt about it. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could you tell us a little bit more about the Russia talks, your impression of how they went today, and if you're perhaps more confident or less confident of a deal after what happened today?
Well, much more confident. They were very good. Russia wants to do
Infinity's only
something. They
doing
want to
24
stop
cars at
the
dealership. I didn't know that.
savage barbarianism. I mean, what's going on over there? It's soldiers are being killed by the thousands on a.
Donna, hey, first time seeing you. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I don't have the guest line set up. I'm trying to sort out how I can get a consistent guest line going. Going back and forth with OBS and another streaming platform I'm trying to use. But anyway, look out for guest lines. Jump in the future. I appreciate hearing some additional thoughts from folks.
Weekly basis. It's ridiculous. And they're not American soldiers. They're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers largely, although a lot of.
No reply. I'm seeing Nissan dealership shutting down. I mean, 24 cars a month per dealership. That is extremely low for Infinity. Jeez. All right, Don, appreciate it. Ford sells cars. So yeah, I mean, we habitually purchased Infinities. Actually, just we did not. Last car we bought was not. So that's weird. I did not. I thought it was just us. I didn't realize there was something so systemic going on. But I mean, their revenues have fallen quite a bit. But they're in the worst financial shape to where they have to do this because they cannot take that big of a hit to their cash flow and be able to sustain operations. But it's only a matter of time for the other pieces of the dominoes to fall. So if other companies start seeing Nissan or whatever start to turn the corner a little bit, I mean, they'll follow suit pretty quickly.
Koreans have been killed, as you know. Quite a bit of them have been killed. They came over to fight, and a large portion have been wiped out. But we want to end it. It's a senseless war. It should have never happened. Would have never happened if I was president. And it's a shame to see it. And I see pictures that you don't see, but I see pictures of fields that look just horrible. It looks like Gettysburg. If you see the old pictures of Gettysburg, it's soldiers lying all over the field, body parts all over the field. They're all dead. And this is going on a daily basis. It's a horrible thing. Both Russia and Ukraine, they're losing thousands and thousands of soldiers. And a lot of people have been killed, too. I think that's one of the things that you'll see historically and you'll see later on as it goes along. I think people are going to be surprised at how many people, not only soldiers, have been killed in Ukraine. A lot more people than you think. Yeah, please.
President Trump, as part of a peace deal with Putin, would you be willing to consider removing all American troops from Europe?
Well, nobody's asked me to do that, so I don't think we'd have to do that. I wouldn't want to do that. But that question's never really come up. Yeah. Please.
Sir, do you support stationing European peacekeeping troops in Ukraine as part of this peace deal?
If they want to do that, that's great. I'm all for it. If they want to do that, I think that'd be fine.
Even if the Russians are...
I mean, I know France has mentioned it. Others have mentioned it. UK has mentioned it. But, yeah, if we have a peace deal, I think having troops over there from the standpoint of Europe, we won't have to put any over there because, we're very far away. But having troops over there would be fine. I would not object to it at all. We're talking about this now, peace. We have either a ceasefire or a peace itself, and we're looking to do both. We'd start off with the ceasefire, and if they want to do that. I know France was willing to do that, and I thought that was a beautiful gesture. Yeah, please.
Do you have any message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think I'm really disappointed in what's happened. I've been watching this for 3 years. It's a war that would have never happened if I was president, and I've been watching these people being killed at levels that you've rarely seen, not even close, since the Second World War. And I'm very disappointed. I hear that, they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years and a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily. Just a half A half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago without the loss of much land, very little land, without the loss of any lives, and without the loss of cities that are just laying on their sides. You have those magnificent golden domes that are shattered, will never be replaced. You can't replace them. 1,000-year-old domes that are so beautiful. You can't replace that.
So I don't know what's going on. There's more information as more things get uncovered. There seems to be a growing frustration that he has with this entire conflict. I don't know if it's a situation where he cannot reveal all, probably likely, but he just seems to have a greater level of frustration and less tolerance for not accelerating the peace talks or the drive towards peace. I don't know. Let's see what else comes out with here.
The whole civilization has changed because of what. So when they're worried about not being seated, you mean somebody that should have gone in and made a deal a long time ago? You could have made a deal. This is one that could have made a deal. There was no talk of this during the Trump administration. Putin would have never, ever done it. And by the way, we wouldn't have had October 7th. You know that. We wouldn't have had October 7th either in Israel. And we wouldn't have had that mess that's going on over there. It's like we have great fire people here. We're putting out fires all over the world. We're putting out fires. So that wouldn't have happened. And you know what else wouldn't have happened? Inflation. Because it was caused really by the cost of energy going through the roof because of their bad energy policies and also their spending, their terrible spending, wasteful spending on the Green New scam. It's a scam. It's a whole big scam. Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. I want to ask you a little closer to home. What would it take for you to reconsider the restrictions on the Associated Press? And secondly, some of your advisors are concerned with the Associated Press's style guide, using language and giving guidance to not use words like illegal immigrant or to use phrases like gender-affirming care. And they're concerned about that being an encroachment of liberalism in the way in which the press writes about things. Do you share those concerns?
Well, I do think that some of the phrases that they want to use are ridiculous, and I think, frankly, they become obsolete, especially in the last 3 weeks, because many things have happened in the last 3 weeks. And I didn't know about that, but I would say that if they want to use certain phrases like that, and I guess some are okay, but many aren't, but the Associated Press just refuses to go with what the law is and what is taking place. It's called the Gulf of America now. It's not called the Gulf of Mexico any longer. I have the right to do it, just like we have the right to do Mount McKinley, and nobody's even challenging that. But only the essentially, it's primarily the Associated Press, and I don't know what they're doing, but I just say that we're going to keep them out until such time as they agree that it's the Gulf of America. We're very proud of this country, and we want it to be the Gulf of America. Now, the Associated Press, as you know, has been very, very wrong on the election, on Trump and the treatment of Trump and other things having to do with Trump and Republicans and conservatives. And they're doing us no favors, and I guess I'm not doing them any favors. That's the way life works. But, you know, thank you for the question. Who are you with? It's a very good question. Thank you. Yes.
You know, I got to say I'm impressed. There's so much criticism of Trump and how he's historically dealt with the press, how he responds to things. There's a greater level of confidence, calm, and just, you know, fluency with how to kind of manage these types of questions and scenarios now with him. I don't want to say he's like a true politician, because that's not a good thing necessarily. But he's managing this much better, much more eloquently. I mean, he's like a pro at this point. He's managing it very well, and so that's pretty impressive. How he responds to the press and all the other folks out there right now when it comes to stuff like this. And hey, guys, if you're in the chat right now, like, subscribe, help me out a little bit.
We're hearing that Russia wants to force Ukraine to hold new elections in order to sign any kind of a peace deal. Is that something that the U.S. would ever support?
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating. and where a country has been blown to smithereens. You got most of the cities are laying on their sides. The buildings are collapsed. It looks like a massive demolition site. The whole, I mean, so many of the cities. I mean, they haven't done it in Kiev because I guess they don't want to shoot too many rockets in there. They've done it 20%, but they haven't done it 100%. If they wanted to do it 100%, it would probably happen very quickly. But you have cities that are absolutely decimated. And yeah, I would say that, you know, when they want a seat at the table, you could say the people have to, wouldn't the people of Ukraine have to say, like, you know, it's been a long time since we've had an election. That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me and coming from many other countries also. You know, Ukraine is being just wiped out. Look at what's happening to the cities. There are cities, there's not even a building standing. It's a massive, you talk about Gaza. I mean, it's literally, these cities look like Gaza. Actually, many have, percentage-wise, more buildings knocked down than in Gaza. So, you know, people are tired of it. People want to see something happen. And, you know, the other thing that it's been bothering me for a long time, because I solved the problem with NATO. They paid hundreds of billions of dollars into the funds of NATO when I said you got to pay, because the United States was paying for European countries, and then they take advantage of us on trade. But I've seen it. Look, they have to pay. They have to find out where's the.
So it's another fundamental shift and difference that it's no longer a desire to sustain perpetual conflict or to just continue doubling down on old positions that get you results that are not very satisfying, right? As in the instance of Gaza. It's moving towards resolution on all these things. Just let's solve it. Let's fix it once and for all. Let's put an end to it. Or in the case of some of the other investments he's thinking of making, let's put a start to something that's going to be beneficial to the country long term. And again, his delivery, his demeanor, his temperament, everything is just really shifted and remarkable at this point. I'm floored. I am entertained when he takes, you know, when he gets into thug life Trump, but this I'm good with as well. I mean, this is remarkable.
Money going to? We have, I believe, President Zelensky said last week that he doesn't know where half of the money is that we gave him. Well, we gave them, I believe, $350 billion, but let's say it's something less than that, but it's a lot. And we have to equalize with Europe, because Europe has given us given a very much smaller percentage than that. I think Europe has given $100 billion, and we've given, let's say, 300 plus. And it's more important for them than it is for us. We have an ocean in between, and they don't. But where is all the money that's been given? Where is it going? And nobody, I've never seen an accounting of it. We give hundreds of billions of dollars. I don't see any accounting. So I want to see peace. Look, you know why I want? Because I don't want all these people killed anymore. I'm looking at people that are being killed, and they're Russian and Ukrainian people, but they're people. Doesn't matter where they're from on.
Yeah, so just calling out Timothy. Yes, he's being less challenging and argumentative. TL saying you're right. Timothy Langhart. Wait a minute. Okay, you know, I got TL and Timothy Lang. I got that mixed up for a second. I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, he's being polite, remove the interfering judges and so forth. All of that stuff too. And, you know, even when he's given like some harsh criticism or whatever, he just kind of says it plainly, shrugs his shoulder and moves on. It's there's not necessarily a need to exhaust too much energy towards something like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure if the circumstance presented itself, he would be more than happy to take advantage of it. But generally speaking, that has not been the tact. It seems this is just one great example that happened today when he's talking about these things, hitting some pretty important topics.
On the whole planet. And I think I have the power to end this war. And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
Whoa, did he just say what I thought he said? You should have never started it? You should have never started it. You've been there for 3 years. Hold on a second. Let me go back like 20 seconds here. I'm just going to let it play. Hear the full thing in context here. What just happened here? because I saw it in the chat, right? I think No Reply was talking about a documentary earlier. Send me that if you got it. And again, if you guys want to reach out, you could check out
in accounting. So,
you could check out my bio. It has a link to my link tree. All the socials are there. Feel free to send me a DM. Email is there as well.
I want to see peace. Look, you know why I want? Because I don't want all these people killed anymore. I'm looking at people that are being killed, and they're Russian and Ukrainian people, but they're people. Doesn't matter where they're from on the whole planet. And I think I have the power to end this war. And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And President Biden, in all fairness, he doesn't have a clue. What he was so bad for this. He was so bad, so pathetic. It's so sad. But with all of that being said, look, it is what it is. When I left, there was no chance that this could have happened. But it happened because we had incompetent leadership at many different levels. But when you see what's taken place in Ukraine with millions of people killed, including the soldiers, millions of people killed, a big percentage of their cities knocked down to the ground. I don't know how anybody even lives there. You know, when they say they took a poll and Zelensky's at 4%, who's living there? You know, I mean, it's hard to believe that people live there. Their cities are being knocked down. And this is something that would have never happened. And by the way, for 4 years, it didn't happen. It was never going to happen. Go ahead.
One follow-up question. How would you counter the perception, because Russia's pushing for this, obviously, they don't really hold true elections, that would be a capitulation of some sort. How would you guard against potentially Russia installing a puppet government? And then finally, how would that new election have an impact on getting Zelensky to sign the rare earth minerals deal?
Look, you have leadership, and I like him personally. He's fine. But I don't care about personally. I care about getting the job done. You have leadership now that's allowed a war to go on that should have never even happened.
So this is strange. What's going on? There's information that we don't have here, right? I mean, this sounds very odd. And Timothy, thanks, found the like button. I don't know. I hope more people find it. Please help me out. But this is strange. There's something going on. You know what I mean? Like more to it that had not been revealed to us. You know what I mean? I'm going to back this up a little bit more. Just 30 seconds.
Question. How would you counter the perception, because Russia's pushing for this, obviously, they don't really hold true elections, that would be a capitulation of some sort. How would you guard against potentially Russia installing a puppet government? And then finally, how would that new election have an impact on getting Zelensky to sign the rare earth minerals deal?
Look, you have leadership, and I like him personally. He's fine. But I don't care about personally. I care about getting the job done. You have leadership now that's allowed a war to go on that should have never even happened, even without the United States. Look, we had a president who was grossly incompetent. He had no idea what he was doing. He said some very stupid things, like going in for portions and all of the things. He made a lot of bad statements, but he's grossly incompetent, and I think everyone knew that. This is something that should have never happened, would have never happened. And I used to discuss it with Putin. President Putin and I would talk about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, I will tell you that. But there was never a chance of him going in. And I told him, you better not go in. Don't go in. Don't go in. And he understood that. He understood it fully. But I'm only interested. I want to see if I can save maybe millions of lives. This could even end up in a World War III. I mean, to be honest with you, you've been hearing now Europe is saying, well, I think we're going to go in and we're going to go. All of a sudden, you're going to end up in World War III over something that should have never happened. And, you know, it's a very sad situation. Yeah, please.
In a court filing, the White House said that Elon Musk is not a DOJ employee and has no authority to make decisions. Can you clarify for us today?
Well, Elon Musk.
What his exact role is there?
Yeah. Elon is, to me, a patriot. So, you know, you could call him an employee, you could call him a consultant, you could call him whatever you want. But he's a patriot. I mean, look at the kind of things I just said. Just write it down, just in case that question got asked, right? And which I'm surprised it took so long, actually. But you know what? Ukraine's a bigger deal because people are dying by the thousands a week, thousands. But look at this, from 90 to 99, Social Security, 6,054,000 people. Well, that's okay. Maybe that's possible. 90 to 99, maybe it's possible. It's a lot of people, though, at that. But people that live to 100 to 109, 4,734,000. Wow, that's a lot. That means over 100 years old. They're 4 million people. I don't know too many. I know people that are doing great in their 90s, but not too many people over 100. But over 120, from 120 years old, people that are 120 years old up to 129, 3,472,000 people. Wow. That can't possibly be, because the record is like, I think it's one person, a woman, lived to 127, but they have 3,472. Okay, but now we're going really in. People from 130 years old to 139-year-old.
These stats are just astonishing. Like, this is literally on the books, and they don't want Doge or anyone else to look at them because they're going to call it out and they're going to share it. That the transparency, I think, is beautiful. I'd like to see more of it. I would like it to be to the point where information is shared with us, and we can crowdsource some of it. And I don't know if y'all, some of the cold cases that are out there. Sometimes FBI or other folks put it out because there's internet detective kind of work that's being done by groups of people on different forums, and they basically crowdsource a lot of the intelligence, right? But why not do that with some of this stuff? And just they talked about radical transparency at the onset of this session. Just let's go with that. Master Blaster, Supreme Leader Trump. Well, okay. I hope you enjoy the winning that's happening at least.
3,936,000. Wow.
Oh, that's from Mad Max. I was like, where did Master Blaster come from? Was that a name of a game on Nintendo, or was that Mad Max? I can't remember now what that's from.
I wonder if people are getting paid with all this. I mean, are these checks? And that's what we're checking right now. People from 140 years old to 149 years old, 3,542,000, 140 years old and beyond. Now we're really going, because.
And I appreciate the gifts, guys. Thank you very much for that.
People from 150 years old to 159 years old, 1,345,000. These are by the way, these are in the computer files. This is what they do well. They're super. I asked Elon, who are these Doge people? He said they're super brilliant computer people, and they love the country. It's simple. Wait a minute. People from 160 years old to 169 years, 121,000. So 160-year-old people. 170 to 179,000, 6,087. But now, let's go into the real numbers. From 200 to 209 years old, 879 people. From 210 years old, I haven't met any of them. And if I did, I would bless them. I would worship the ground they walk on. 210 to 219 years, 866. From 220 years old to 229 years old, 1,039. And then you have two people from 240 years old to 249 years old, one person. And there's one person that's 360 years old.
Are you kidding me? Like, this is literally on the books, guys. Did he say 360? Well, I mean, it was over 300. I'm pretty sure he said 360. But these are people on the books. I don't mean live. This is just like the data, and these benefits are being issued and sent out there. Democrats didn't want to do anything about it. Just let it be. I don't understand. I don't understand. It's been this way for how long? How much money have we lost? 360? Yeah. Ridiculous.
That's just that. And then, where's the money being spent, right? Let's go into that for just a second. $520 million for a consultant on the environment. It's called Environmental, Social, and Governance. Investments in Africa and mobilize private sector resources. $520 million. Somebody got $520 million for an environmental, sounds like an environmental study. It's the most,
I mean, my lord, I can do an environmental study. I'll do it for half price. I'll take 250 million. Forget 500 million. Like, my goodness. I'll give you 1,000-page long PowerPoint document that nobody will read.
always been one that paid a lot of money for my environmental studies, but they, I paid like $50,000.
Yeah, TL. I mean, the crowd, which is effectively the reporters out there, they're just totally quiet. There's like not. Everyone's just kind of like shocked by this stuff that's coming out, right? And they can't refute it because it's literally, this is the data that's there. This is the data the judges are preventing from being reviewed and accessed, which all of that is problematic too in itself. That's a whole other subject. But it's astonishing, right? And they talk about so much the age of these folks that are working in Doge. And no, they're not, they don't have expertise in, say, healthcare or, foreign policy, if you want to look at that for U.S. aid or USAID. I don't know which one's the right way of saying it. That's not their expertise. They are data engineers, software engineers, brilliant, and they're very good at finding anomalies. And they're very good at looking at trends in data and making connections. That's what they do. They learn the metadata. They understand what the data set is they're looking at. They have somebody that kind of like talks them through what it is from a like a real world standpoint, and they start making connections. They start asking questions, and they allow the data to like speak for itself. Really, that's what they do, right? That's what their expertise is. It's not that he's bringing in people that have. You'll hear the Democrats say that they brought in all these people that have no idea about healthcare, and that's not what they're after. They just need the information. Yeah, there you go, TL. They just need the information, and they find anomalies, and they bring that to light. And what would be great is if they can create a system that will continue to elevate these anomalies as they come up, and we can just have something that kind of we all can call out. I don't want to say it like self-heals itself. Somebody has to take an action, but at least it's apparent to everyone involved. And if you haven't done so already, go take a look at doge.gov. That's the website all this stuff is getting posted on. It's a steady stream of posts on the X platform, but if you click on the menu system there, I don't remember the exact page layout, but it'll give you a nice hierarchical breakdown of the executive branch and how many dollars, what dollars go where, and what they're targeting next and so forth. It's a nice breakdown of data.
Not $520 million. $520 million for ESG. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and promote licit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in the country of Colombia. Well, it's nice, $25 million going to Colombia for something that nobody ever heard of. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. $40 million. $42 million for Johns Hopkins, great place, to research and drive social and behavior change in Uganda. $42 million. What about us? What about social change in our country? $70 million.
Yeah, these are some ridiculous things. I mean, honestly. Yeah, the Fort Knox thing. I'm scared it's going to be like when Geraldo on live TV opened up that tomb to the Egyptian king or emperor or whatever the term is for him. Open it up, there's nothing in there. Like, I'm afraid it's going to be the same situation. Then we're going to be like, what just happened? Where did this stuff go? Right? It's not that difficult. So much of what they're starting with is basic accounting principles. Yeah, Donna, absolutely right. I mean, when I get moved into a new team group or whatever, that's just what I start with, because if you want to see what the footprint is that you have out there, what direction you want to take things, the numbers are the numbers. They don't lie. These numbers don't lie. What song was that? I don't know. No, wait, that's not a song. Well, anyway, whatever. Let's keep going with some of this good stuff. And this is the same style too. I think he's getting coached by the press secretary, communications director, with some of this, because he's got the facts right in front of him and they speak for themselves. So his delivery again is phenomenal right now, and it's been this way for quite some time, as you see him move across different interviews and everything.
$1 million for a center at Purdue to research university-sourced, evidence-based solutions to developmental challenges. I mean, these are massive numbers on things that nobody ever heard about. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcisions. $10 million for circumcisions in another country. $9.7 million for UC Berkeley to develop a cohort of Cambodian youth with enterprise-driven skills. In other words, let's teach them something about enterprise. What about our people?
What does that even mean? Enterprise-driven skills? They come up with these phrases that are just like bizarre. They mean nothing. This means nothing. You know, somebody comes up to me like, I've been taught enterprise-driven skills. I'm just like, I don't even know what that means. You know?
Can't we teach them about enterprise? $2.3 million for strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. $32 million to the Prague Civil Society Center, which is a very liberal group of people. Wonder how much of that money came back to the people that approved it. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive and participatory political process in Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. Well, why are we giving $21 million to India? They got a lot of money. They're one of the highest taxing countries in the world in terms of us. We can hardly get in there because their tariffs are so high. I have a lot of respect for India. I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister. He just left, as you know, 2 days ago. But we're giving $21 million for voter turnout. It's voter turnout in India. What about, like, voter turnout here? Oh, we've done that, I guess. We did $500 million, didn't we? It's called the lockboxes. $20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. Listen.
What does that even mean? Fiscal federalism? I got to ask my AI buddy here. I mean, seriously, like, what the heck is that? One sec, guys. Copilot, where are you? Copilot. Fiscal federalism. Jeez. Hey, can you tell me what fiscal federalism means?
Sure. Fiscal federalism is about the financial relations between different levels of government, like federal, state, and local. It's about how funds are divided and allocated among these levels to achieve certain policy goals. It's a big part of how resources and responsibilities are managed across governments.
Okay, I don't know why that has to be something that's funded at such a high rate for other countries. This is bizarre. Like, why do we need to tell them how money is divided between, like, city versus state governments versus whatever? It's just bizarre stuff. Somebody needed some money, to run this training course and pocket the rest. I don't know.
These numbers, this is all fraud. $19 million for biodiversity conservation in Nepal. $1.5 million for voter confidence. We want to give them confidence. In Liberia, $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $2.5 million for...
What do you think social cohesion means? I don't even know. Hey, what does social cohesion mean?
Social cohesion is about the bonds that bring people together in a society.
Oh, Lord.
It's how well people get along, trust each other, and feel connected to their community. When you have strong social cohesion, there's more cooperation and a sense of belonging among people, even if they have different backgrounds or beliefs.
I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. It just keeps getting worse from here. I mean, these are the buzzwords that, Democrats come up with, and they just kind of roll with them. Somebody says it, and everyone nods like, oh, yeah, social cohesion. We need more of that. How do we get more of that? Like, give me a break. Like, we just need... I started off with this. We just need a system that... And by system, I mean the way that the economy is operating and the incentives that there are for business, individuals, and so forth. We need it to be incentivized to do the right thing for people in general, to help individuals be able to sustain their livelihoods. Because I've said this at the beginning, 71%, and this is according to the Redfin survey that was out in November, 71% of Gen Z struggles to pay rent month to month. Why the youth vote went to Trump, that's it right there. There's more data and more stats that go beyond that, but that's the bottom line, is the system is broken, and all they did was throw money into a broken system, which then just inflated asset values that further punished the middle class, because a lot of money then had to go towards property taxes with these asset valuations skyrocketing. You don't touch your 401k, that's growing great, but it's not day-to-day, moving the needle for you, right? So property taxes escalating, states where there was already high property taxes, people are getting hit pretty bad. That's going to drive up rents, right? Because landlords are going to pass that cost on. It's a terrible sequence of events, a terrible chain reaction that the Democrats initiated.
Inclusive democracies in South Africa, $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well. They're doing a lot better than we do in the schools, aren't they? $2 million to develop sustainable recycling models to increase socioeconomic cohesion among marginalized communities in Kosovo and Eshkali and in Egypt. We're talking...
Aha. Commented here. Ben, tariffs do the same thing in passing costs off to consumers. Tariffs are more about driving behavior than anything else. And let me bring this up here on both screens. Talked about it earlier in the stream. You may have just joined recently, but the drive is to improve livelihoods for individual American workers and move dollars through our economy first, right? Not through products being imported. So here's one example. 4 days ago, could Trump tariffs push Nissan production out of Mexico? 11 hours ago, Nissan moved production outside of Mexico. I mean, you want to talk about an immediate cause and effect. Now, of course, Nissan has some additional challenges with their business that they're the first domino to fall, because it makes sense. They've definitely got some cash flow issues that'll hit them hard if they don't take this early action. But other manufacturers are not too far away.
About hundreds of billions of dollars. I could, by the way, I could read this all day long. I could go on all day long, and you'll see hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're doing it. But when I saw the Social Security numbers, I said, wow, that's really something. So we have, let's just go above 100 years old. We have millions and millions of people over 100 years old. Everybody knows that's not so. We have a very corrupt country, and it's a sad thing to say.
Here's the dynamic, Ben. There's a factory that has 2,000 people that work in it, right? Offshore, somewhere near shore in Mexico, 2,000 people in it. You bring that back in the United States, and that's not 2,000 jobs coming back. They will hyper-automate the plant. If you haven't seen the footage of the Tesla plants in Austin, it's remarkable, right? This is why he can build the cars at scale at such a decent price point. They will bring them back, and they'll be hyper automated, so that 2,000 workforce may turn into 200, right? But we are still getting 200 very high paying jobs, very skilled technicians, staff, whatever it takes to keep the machines running. I mean, at this point, your job is to make sure the machines have what they need and the machines are in working order to continue creating your products. It's not necessarily individuals doing it. So when these factories come back It's not that it's a one-to-one in terms of jobs. To your point, sweatshop wages. No, they will come back as state-of-the-art, fully automated facilities that require a much more or a much smaller footprint of labor to keep them up and running. But it's still beneficial to get a plant coming back here in the United States, having as much of those natural resources sourced from the United States in this example. And I'm just making it up. I don't know what the right ratio is, but let's say it is just 10% comes back. Those 200 jobs paying taxes here first, right? As you saw in the last one, over 300,000 cars are imported by just Nissan alone per year. So it's a pretty massive thing. TJ, Nissan, and Honda are merging. Have I heard about that? Sounds familiar. I thought, who were they? Hold on. Let me take a look. Nissan, Honda merger. When is that going to take effect? Honda ready to revive takeover talks if Nissan CEO leaves. Okay. So the talks fell apart, but now they're looking to... hybrid vehicles caused the Nissan-Honda merger to fail, but if the CEO leaves, they'll re-engage in merger talks. Interesting. I mean, it sounds like they could use the help to survive. Nissan, that is. And again, guys, I appreciate the likes and appreciate the gifts coming in through. All right, let's get back to Senor Trump.
But we're figuring it out. Now, the good thing about Social Security and what I read is if you take all of those numbers off, because they're obviously fraudulent or incompetent, but if you take all of those millions of people off Social Security, all of a sudden we have a very powerful Social Security with people that are 80 and 70 and 90, but not 200 years old. So it's a very positive thing. How about over here? Yeah, please.
Your reaction to Michelle King, the head, resigning after the Doge?
Who resigned?
The head of Social Security.
I don't know. I mean, I resigned or got fired. I think got fired. When you fire somebody, they always resign, and then they say, we resigned. But when you have numbers like that, I think really it's got fired. They have to get fired. Who would keep them? How could you have numbers like this? Now, the big thing is, how many of these people got paid? Were they getting paid? How many of them were getting paid Social Security? Because if that's the case, it's a massive fraud. We'll have to call those great Palm Beach police into this situation, right? You guys would figure that out very quickly. But how many of them are being paid? I mean, maybe millions of them. But it's a total fraud. Also, a lot of illegal immigrants are in Social Security that shouldn't be there. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, there was a big wave of probationary federal workers who were fired over the weekend. Some of these workers focused on nuclear weapon security, were immediately rehired. Do you have any concerns about how these terminations have
No, not at all. I think we have to just do what we have to do. It's, it's amazing what's been found right now. It's amazing. If we feel that in some cases they'll fire people and then they'll put some people back, not all of them, because a lot of people were let go. Don't forget, I got elected on the basis of making our government stronger and smaller, because we have millions of people that obviously they're paying millions of people that shouldn't be paid. And that has also to do with workers. Yeah, please. No, go ahead. Actually, yes, New York Times.
Sorry. Mr. President, given your concerns about corruption, you said that if there were any conflicts of interest with Elon Musk, you wouldn't let him anywhere near it.
That's right.
Doge and SpaceX employees are now working directly at the Federal Aviation Administration and the Defense Department, agencies that have billions of dollars in contracts with Musk's companies or that directly regulate his companies. How is that not a conflict of interest?
Well, I mean, I'm just hearing about it, and if there is, and he told me before I told him, but obviously I will not let there be any conflict of interest. He's done an amazing job. They've revealed, in fact, he's going to be on tonight, a big show called Sean Hannity at 9 o'clock, and he's on and I'm on, and we talk about a lot of different things, and any conflicts, I told Elon, any conflicts, you can't have anything to do with that. So anything to do with possibly even space, we won't let Elon partake in that. Yeah, please.
On immigration, sir, you said you would be sending the worst of the worst to Guantanamo Bay. What we're finding out is that there are a lot of low-risk migrants who don't have a criminal background who are also being sent. Are you thinking about this differently now?
No, they're going to be brought back to their countries. And with some persuasion, every one of those countries, everyone in the, as you know, every country is taking the people back. So some of them are going to be brought back to, many of them, any of them that are low risk, as you say, are going to be brought back to their countries. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Can you give us a bit of an update on where you stand with Venezuela?
Yeah,
it's oil. There's basically a monthly license that can soon
Well, you know, we had Venezuela on the run, and it looked like that was going to be very good. And when Biden came in, as he always does, he screws it up. And they started buying millions and millions and millions of dollars of oil, billions of dollars, actually, of oil. And it gave them a new lease, a new, really, lease on life. But we'll see. We had some pretty good discussions with a lot of people within our government and the United States government that are involved in that. And Venezuela's a little bit early, but, you know, we were not buying from Venezuela when Biden came in for whatever reason. Instead of just taking the beautiful, as I call it, liquid gold, we have more than anybody. They started paying a fortune to Venezuela, and we're looking at that, actually. Why did they do that? Why were they doing that? Why would they go to the enemy and give them billions and billions of dollars? Now, with that being said, as you know, Venezuela has said very strongly they will not take any illegal immigrant, any of the people that they sent over to us. They sent their gangs, probably the worst gang anywhere in the world, as bad as MS-13, maybe worse. And they came out of the jails of Venezuela. They emptied their jails into our country. And they said, we'll never take them back. Well, they took them back, and they're taking them back, and they are taking them back rapidly. They were sending a lot of people to Venezuela. They said they wouldn't take them back, and they are taking back. But we're looking at Venezuela very seriously, and we're going to be able to. Don't forget, I've only been here for 3 weeks.
Just follow.
Yeah, please.
Just a little clarity on, are you inclined to continue to allow Venezuela, through, I think, Chevron and other oil companies, to export those petroleum products, or are you
maybe not
to pull back on
Yeah, maybe not. We're looking at that now. I just got here. When I left, they weren't doing anything. They were ready to go. We give up. And then Biden came along and he gave them literally billions of dollars. I couldn't believe it, actually. And we have so much under our feet, liquid gold. We have so much, and it was pretty amazing. So we're looking at that whole situation, why he did it. All right, how about one more? Yeah, please.
Mr. President, what can you tell us about the CIA drone flights over Mexico? Is this the next step in the war against the cartels?
Well, we're going to see.
Should they have authority to take lethal action?
Mexico's allowed a tremendous number of people to go through their country into ours, and even people coming from Mexico, and illegals, totally illegal. They've allowed people to empty jails into Mexico and then let them come through with this totally ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. So millions of people have come in, and hundreds of thousands, and actually millions, are criminals. They came in from jails all over the world that release them into Mexico, and they come into our country. And they also came in from Canada, by the way, large numbers through Canada. In fact, when we closed up the one border, they came in through the other border. So Canada is not an uninterested party. But I will say this. We're dealing with Mexico. I have a very good relationship with Mexico, but I think Mexico is largely run by the cartels, and that's a sad thing to say. And if they wanted help with that, we'd give them help. But Mexico, if you look at what's gone on with Mexico for years now, but now especially, it's run by the cartels. And they've allowed millions of people to come into our country from jails and prisons of other countries from all over the world, not just South America, Africa, Asia, all over, a lot from the Congo in Africa, a lot. They opened their jails, they came in through Mexico, and we have some of the worst criminals coming in from the Congo and other places. So it's not just South America. And it's not just Venezuela, but they opened their jails. And you know the crime rates in Venezuela and other places all over the world has gone way down. You know why? Because they've given us their prisoners, they've given us their drug lords and their gang members. And it's hard to believe that we accepted this. It's hard to believe that we allowed open borders, and we're taking in, hundreds of thousands and millions of people.
Hey, Giovanni, I think rewind maybe about 20 minutes and you'll see the breakdown, cause and effect of implementation of tariffs and the nice outcomes that we're seeing here, plants being moved back to the United States. Michael Massey, liar-in-chief. I'm waiting for some more original feedback to come in through on Trump. I appreciate the likes and the subscribes, guys. Keep them coming.
Coming in from all over the world that are absolute stone-cold criminals. In fact, 11,088 murderers, and many of those people have murdered more than one person. Why are they giving us these people, and why are we taking these people under Biden? You had a border czar that never went to the border. Happened to be a vice president, never went to the border, never called the border people. I call them all the time. I speak to them all the time. But here's the good.
I didn't realize it didn't rewind for y'all. I've got two of them going right now. There's a horizontal version of the stream out there as well that I put online. Let me see if I could put this up on both screens. Boom. Boom. So saying that, the intent of tariffs is to drive behavior, right? And the behavior that we want is for these companies not to do the, drive to zero and offshore, outsource things to no end. So the first article there, could Trump's tariffs push Nissan production out of Mexico 4 days ago? 11 hours ago, Nissan would move production outside of Mexico, right? And highlights 320,000 cars per year are made in the United States. So it's already started. The ball is rolling. Behavior is being changed by companies out there. Wait. Okay. There we go.
We have the most secure border we've ever had right now. As secure and even more secure than I had it 4 years ago. And the Border Patrol
I
is
want to
doing
talk to
incredible.
Trump too.
ICE is doing incredible. Tom
Just
Homan's
don't know if he wants to do an
unbelievable,
interview.
and Kristi Noem has been just working very, very hard, very, very hard. And we have the best numbers we've ever had, and we're going to keep it that way. And we're going to find out how a thing like this could have happened to our country, because who would allow this to happen? What they've done to our country is so sad. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, President, before the end of the month.
All right. Very impressive press conference. He does this every single day. It seems like talks about like this. These are the accomplishments for the day, and they're big things, right? They just go through boom, boom, boom. Let me see. What is this question? I have a question. Why is that pseudo-human still walking around free? Ron, you talking about Schumer, aren't you? Yeah, I think he is talking about Schumer. Fred. Very funny. Good stuff, guys. So that was very nicely done press conference. He responded to the questions very, very tactfully, very skillfully. Did not just jump on the offensive. He was really measured in how he responded. And I think it's just like a new sense of confidence, this being his second go-around as president, and he knows that it's an absolute must that he sets certain things in motion for the future of the country, and that he accomplishes some key things here in the next 4 years to sustain the livelihood and sustain the middle class, honestly, because that's what's at threat of being collapsed, right? Everybody's going to be kind of at the bottom, or they're going to be at the very top. And I don't know, call the top 5%, top 10%, whatever it might be. But there's going to be a massive shortage of people that are anywhere near the middle at that point in time between that. Timothy says he's being transparent. That's why he's doing these. Yeah, absolutely. And they said it at the beginning, radical transparency. I don't think any of us have seen this before by any president in recent history, or I don't know, maybe ever, that they were this transparent about what's going on behind the scenes and what things are coming up, so forth, which I like. I think it's great. who's backing the people. We voted for him to reform. Yeah, absolutely did. All right. So coming up in the near future, we're going to take a look at some of Marco Rubio's activities that he's got going on. He met with, representatives from Russia, and he met with them in Saudi Arabia. So more to come out there. There's a lot of things going on at the same time. But I am going to close it out for now. I appreciate folks jumping in. And again, I'm going to try and simulcast both horizontal stream and a vertical and a horizontal stream. Just because the vertical format has been my staple for quite some time. And I think that I get more play going through the vertical version of things. But had some feedback. Some people want to watch stuff on their TV as they browse around and not be on their phone necessarily. So I'll try to set up both going forward. Just the guest call-in line then gets a little bit more complicated. I got to test out how that works. Just to keep it simple for you guys too. All right. Hey, I appreciate you guys joining. Thank you very much. I will leave you with the official theme song.
Darkness falls, truth emerges, political cow unveils the lies. Behind the screen, wisdom surges, lighting up hate with her eyes. In the shadows, secrets lurk. She exposes, she ignites. With every post, she does the work, unmasking darkness, revealing lights. Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. With every post, she does the work, unmasking darkness, revealing lights. Oh, what? Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. Her voice cuts through, stark and raw, shattering deception, breaking the law. Breaking the law. Icons crumble, empires fall. She stands tall, fierce and cold. Her voice echoes a thunderous call. In the chaos, her strength unfolds. False prophets scatter, truth ascends. The world watches, mesmerized. Political cows, battle never ends. In her light, dark meets its demise. Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. At every post, she does the work, unmasking darkness, revealing lights. Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. Her voice cuts through, stark and raw, shattering deception, breaking the law. Political cow, political cow. Political cow, political cow. The beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. Her voice cuts through, stark and raw, shattering deception, breaking the law. Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law. Political cow, icons crumble, empires fall. She stands tall, fierce and cold. Her voice echoes a thunderous call. In the chaos, her strength unfolds. False prophets scatter, truth ascends. The world watches, mesmerized. Political cows, battle never ends. And in her light, dark reaches